Hello, my name is Miro and welcome to another episode of Hoya of the Week. And today we have a plant that I will once again say is among my top 10 Hoyas, potentially top 5, but don't make me choose because I cannot do it. And this is Hoya exilis. I have the plant right next to me. Wow. You have seen me work on her in a previous video, and I extended this trellis, a situation which is not really working out. It's a little bit unstable, to be quite honest with you, so I'm not really sure what we're going to do with that, how we are going to stabilize it. The top part is stable, but now the base is unstable, and it's because it's becoming a little bit top heavy, and this is spawn, and it's kind of pulling on this side. You can actually see it leaning. It's the leaning tower of Hoya exilis, but the plant is slowly grabbing onto that. Not as quickly as I would love it to, because I sort of envisioned this copy paste here, but it's also, as you can see, she has vines all over, which are grabbing onto other plants. And I had to cut some of them out. I took it out of my tent today. And I told you in my previous video that we will have to deal with that grow tent. And you can see actually here, this is not Hoya exilis. This is hoyaoftheweek. But she is so wrapped around that I couldn't really take my Hoya exilis out. So I will just untangle the vine that I cut off Hoyas, even if I can do that. I have showed you this plant in bloom before in many of my videos. It is, as I said, one of my favorite plants for many reasons, of which you will hear all of them in this video. This plant was published in 1913 by a German botanist, orchid specialist, Rudolf Schlechter, and it was published in Botanische Jahrbuch für Systematik, Pflanzengeschichte und Pflanzengeographie. Yes, I've been taking German lessons in Duolingo. How did you know? It's getting better. If anyone here is working for Duolingo, I am available for sponsorships. Thank you very much. This plant was discovered in northeast New Guinea, and according to the publication, it was spotted for the first time in 1907 in trees that were growing alongside the Albo River, and that was 300 meters above sea level. So that was June of 1907, and then once again in June of 1908, because Schlechter seems to be liking going out in June, it was spotted once again flowering in trees that were growing on Kani Mountains, and that was 700 meters above sea level. I did try to look for the location of Albo River and Kani Mountains, but I did not find it. I think that the places might have changed their names. This is pretty frequent actually when you look at these older publications. Names from then to now seems to change quite a lot for many reasons. One of them colonialism. Let's move on. But awkward. How do we bounce back? But if anyone knows in Papua New Guinea where that might be, I would like to know. You can leave a comment below. I could have asked Natalie Simonson, flex, but I just don't think this is such a relevant information for you to know exactly the spot where this has been seen. I don't know if it has been seen since, most likely yes. I think this plant actually hasn't been in cultivation that long. Sometimes what also happens is that they discover a plant, for example, in 1900s, early 1900s, and it doesn't get rediscovered until recent times. There are some plants that have been discovered around 1900s and haven't been seen since in the wild. And I can't remember the species. I was chatting with Michele Roda, and he told me he would love it to be rediscovered, but yeah, it just hasn't been spotted for such a long time. Hoya flagellata, I made a video about Hoya flagellata. That plant hasn't been seen in 100 years. Yes, now it's common in cultivation, and a lot of us have a clone of Hoya flagellata, but before it was rediscovered, it hasn't been seen for 100 years. So I think the similar situation is with Hoya exilis. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact data, but I don't remember seeing this in collections in 2020 and before, not at least commonly, but 2-3 years ago, it started to become more common in collections, and people often say new species, but it's actually not a new species. It's quite an old species, but new to cultivation. I think that is an accurate thing to say. The name exilis means slender, and Rudolf Schlechter, when he described this plant, he did call it slender. Now, I do have the translation in English, I have the entire publication translated, but I'm not going to bore you with that. But he describes it as very slender, little branched, climbing, loosely leaf, smooth, glabrous, etc. So she is slender. It is a very, very vigorous grower, and it definitely needs a trellis. I don't think this is going to do well hanging. You can see these branches that sort of go out on my plant, but they're not really making any leaves, and it's not a light issue, but when they don't have support, the internodal space gets longer and longer. This is something that I noticed also on my Hoya paradisa. When she doesn't have support, it seems to me that the internodal space becomes longer, versus when she does have support, then the nodes are a little bit tighter. So a trellis is a must for this plant. If I was getting this plant, once again, honestly, I would do it differently. I would get the cutting to grow, to have the leaves, and then I would probably cut it in, 5 to 6 cuttings that I would pot in the pot. I think we have 2 in this pot, because one is from Edita, from Hoya Passion, one is from Betsy. One I purchased myself, one is a gift. But even Betsy's came from Edita, I believe. But anyway, that is not relevant. What I'm trying to say here is I would get it to grow, cut it into 5-6 cuttings, pot them in a larger pot than this, give it instantly a big trellis, make sure that it's secured, and then let it grow. This is about 2 years old. I don't know if it's even full 2 years. I think it might be full 2 years worth of growth. And it has been, it has looked bushy for a while, this plant. It does take initially some time to establish, but once it does, it is just a really, really vigorous grower. And I would just do things a little bit differently so we are not in this messy situation. I think eventually you will arrive to this, because it's sort of inevitable, like Thanos. What is up? Come on, focus me, rope. You could also grow it on a hoop trellis, which probably would be maybe even easier. I do like this look. I think this is a very hot Hoya look, where she truly fills out this tower trellis. Not all of the Hoyas are capable of doing that. And then when you push the trellis, sometimes you will do this. So let's try to fix that. This plant also needs to be watered regularly. It is in a self-watering pot, and I would be a liar if I told you that I water this regularly. In fact, I do have proof here that I don't, and this is just from the latest underwatering episode. I do have to admit to you, I did manicure this plant a little bit before the video, so it doesn't look completely trashed, so you don't judge me, but I will show you the leaves, so you can judge me after all. All the leaves that fell from the latest underwatering episode. It does not want to be underwater. If it's in a self-watering pot, it does not appreciate for the reservoir to go completely dry, especially if you're growing it in pond, because by that time the pond will also be dry. So no appreciation for that. Maybe organic mix plus self-watering, because organic mix will stay moist for a little bit longer when the reservoir goes dry, but pond not really. The top half of the pond, or the top third of the pond, seems to be always dry, actually. She does have a good root system, and I do want to transition her to organic mix, which I don't know how it will go. We will attempt, and then maybe we can attempt to sort out this trellising as well. This plant is definitely not one that you can really neglect. It's fine if you are underwater. I am an underwaterer too, but get a self-watering pot. It will save your plant, because I think this plant can be quite difficult. Otherwise, she will drop leaves. I mean, she recovers well from underwatering, but it's always at a cost. Again, there's more. Also, the vines will die back. That you actually cannot see that very well. I fertilize it every time that I water. Well, not lately, because I've been falling behind on watering and fertilizing. So by the time you see that they are severely underwatered, I'm like, just get the tap water, whatever water is available, just get it in there, hydrate ASAP. The leaves on this plant are quite nice. I really like these green leaves. I think a lot of people will say they are plain looking. Sure, I mean, they come in bronze and they sort of change color to something that's almost golden, and then they fade to this green. I think the leaves are very nice. I really like Hoya leaves that look like this. I don't think they're boring, especially like when you see such a relatively healthy specimen grown. I think then it looks nice. When it comes to temperatures, this does well in just your regular household temperatures. Not too cold, not too hot. I don't think I would really expose this to super low temperatures. If you have unheated room, I wouldn't leave it there. Whatever you find pleasant in the ambient, I think would be pleasant for her. We have to remember she does come from Papua New Guinea, and even though the elevation is from 300 to 700 meters, 700 isn't really a cool growing Hoya. When we talk about cool growing Hoyas, they grow above 1,000 meters, I believe. And someone made a comment in one of my previous videos, are all thin-leaved Hoyas warm growers? They're not all warm growers. There are some cooler growing thin-leaved Hoyas. So that's not really a rule. You really have to look where the plant grows in nature. But I would say that this is like moderate. I don't think this needs to be super hot because there are some Hoyas that really want to be warm. I just think regular ambient temperature is fine with this one. She is also one of the most prolific bloomers. She will bloom almost non-stop once she starts, and she makes peduncle after peduncle after peduncle. I don't know how many this plant has. She at least has to have 15. Some of them are double peduncles, so they're joined to, I guess, one peduncle that sort of branches out but not. I don't know how to explain it. I even have like a peduncle that's like a triple peduncle. It's sort of like thicker because the peduncles on this plant are quite thin. They are the same thickness like the vine. I don't know if you can see here. Kinda. But there are some thicker ones, and those thicker ones like this one have the two heads. Again, don't know if you can see, but that's a double head on the peduncle. There is one even with triple. Quite common for this Hoya to do that, which is nice. More flowers, and it looks really spectacular when she is in bloom. Again, I showed it several times in the videos in bloom. Unfortunately, it's not in bloom now, but I really wanted to bring this Hoya to you because, as you know, we are probably going to be ending the series pretty soon here. We only have several more Hoyas that we will cover, and then we are going to move on to something different. It was always supposed to be a 30-episode Hoya series, but we might end at 25. But anyway, that's, again, none of the concern. We are talking about the cultivation of this plant. The flowers last about 3 days or so, so it's not super long, but again, she will reflower many times, and the length of the flowering will vary on your conditions, depending on your conditions. The flowers are this really cream golden color, I would say. Schlechter describes them as greenish. Don't really see that. I would really describe them golden cream. And they smell like honey and like propolis. It is a wonderful smell. You will love it. I mean, if you don't love the smell of honey, you probably won't. But it is just a lovely smell. It's not too strong. Even when the full plant is in bloom, I don't find it to be too strong. For me, it's really, really pleasant. And it is just so nice to see. They're just the right size too. Like, contrast between the size of the flower and the size of the leaves is just right. They're not too small. They're not too big, so it kind of looks awkward. It's just such a well-balanced plant, and that's one of the reasons why I love her so much. It's a fast grower, a reliable bloomer. Everything is in balance. It's not like one of the Hoyas where you have big leaf and tiny flower, or, you know, tiny leaf and big flower, which is nice too, but that kind of looks awkward. This is just so balanced that I really think that this is a Hoya that everyone should have in their collection. And if I don't convince you, no one will. So we're rooting for Hoya exilis here. This plant is also super easy to propagate. It does produce aerial roots, aerial bumps that you can see along the stem. I think I rooted both of my cuttings in pon. They were both unrooted and no issue, they rooted pretty quickly. And I rooted just one cutting recently for a friend in moss, which needs to be repotted to organic mix. And I don't know, maybe I will root a couple of more cuttings and actually really start a new plant for myself. But I will keep this one too, so I'll probably have two until the other one is established, and then we can chop this one down. Or maybe I'll just grow two exilis, who knows. It's really a lovely plant. I think it will do really well in your household conditions. Mine is in the grow tent. The light is not even that close to it, so approximately somewhere here. So it's off to the side from the grow light, from the Mars Hydro grow light. So she doesn't even need a tremendous amount of light to bloom. You don't need to do anything to get her to bloom. She will bloom no matter what you do. You don't need to shorten the day length, to extend it, nothing. It's just like such a no-fuss Hoya that if you really want something, I previously, recommended Hoya Loki as if you want something that's a reliable bloomer, but get this one instead, because Loki, look awkward when she grows. I mean, I love Hoya Loki still, I love it. And mine is, well, 3/4 of the height of my Millsbow, so that's nice. But she's just an excellent plant that's very nice, very compact, and just a great addition to your Hoya collection. You are not going to regret it. I don't know on the availability. It's pretty available here in Europe. Unwanted even in Serbia, where I live. I tried to sell the cuttings many times. No one just cared. I don't think I ever sold one. I did cut it several times for friends, but I don't think I sold one, which is unfortunate. I have heard that she can be a little bit difficult to ship. Mine didn't have that issue. One came from France during a heat wave. It was a bit wilted, but did recover. And one came from Poland, and that one came, I think, in early spring. So it was a bit cool, but it withstood the shipping. And as you can see, we have both plants in one pot, so they're obviously doing well. But my friend Tima told me that she tried to import this plant several times and it croaks. And I think someone else told me, perhaps Jelena too, another Hoya grower. Yeah, I think this can be a little bit difficult to ship. I think if you're like ordering from Indonesia, that's a little bit rough. I would try to source it closer to you. And if you can get it rooted, even better. So if you can just source it closer to you, you will be fine. It's not really worth it for me to save money and to import from places like Indonesia or Thailand, and then for the plant to die when it's like, it can do so well if you can just get it closer to you from someone who already went through the hell of import, right? So, I don't know. I'm not big on importing plants. All of my plants came from Europe. I think furthest is from the UK, but that's it. I don't really get them from Indonesia or Thailand, not directly. Indirectly, yes, but they always go to someone else first, and they sort of acclimatize, let's skip that word. There, they get adjusted there, and then they get sent to me. So I'm very lucky in that sense. That is all about Hoya exilis that I have to say. I don't think I have anything else to add. I could probably add something because we know that someone here can talk indefinitely about Hoyas, but she is just a beautiful plant with an amazing flower. I'm really sorry it's not in bloom now, but hey, you can't have everything. You didn't get a lot in this video, but hey, best we could do today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have this plant, and let me know if you have plans of getting this plant, if this video sort of convinced you that you should get one. We also knocked off a healthy leaf here, so that's nice. I definitely, once again, recommend it, especially if you are into thin-leaved Hoyas. And yeah, she is thin-leaved, but again, not really challenging. There are many, many more challenging thicker-leaved Hoyas, and there are many more challenging thin-leaved Hoyas. This one is just a breeze. I shall be leaving you now. Once again, thank you for watching. I will see you on Sunday. By the way, my IKEA still hasn't arrived. They, in fact, canceled my order. My makeover is still not done. They canceled my order because one of the items was not in stock, even though it was in stock when I ordered. So, yeah, that's lovely. I don't know what we will do for Sunday is what I'm trying to say here. Trouble, trouble. But that's for me to sort out. I will see you soon, and that's it. Bye! I would like to take some time to thank all of my patrons for their incredible support. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons. My 2 anonymous patrons, Anna K, Alex von Siebenthal, Amber Clear, Anne Margaret Munt, Angela Bernard, Angela Parrish, Anne C, Aspen Drake, Betsy, Brett Noble, Karen, Candy Tap, Catherine Molina, Christine Claire Cola, Connie Pagano, Daniela Danube Daniels, Daria Kaminska, Deborah Violet, Deli Heridia, Diane Sikorsky, Dipanjali Rao, Either W, Erin Keenan, Eleni Saxon, Ellen, M. Mortal, Farah, Gathering Moss, Gina Geise, Go Green Tropical, Gross It's Kyle, Heather Uppingham, Hoji Scott, Hoya Heather, Yana Griffin, Jessica Chio, Jonas Barry, Hjorth Larson, Jovan Denot, Kara, Catherine P, Casey Gross, Callie Gallagher, Kelso, Kimberly Polka, Kiwi Mochi, Christy Ehrlich, Lisa Mary, MPLS, Lori J. Revert, Mandy Milliken, Marcel Har, Maria Stein, Marina Yarmolich, Mars B, Marty Miller, Mary Rose, Melissa Walker, Michael Curley, Michelle Heron, Nicole Ferranti, Mirka Grun Roos, Moa Edmond, Nelly Yang, Niha Basso, Nicole Maroney, Nanguin, Nita Macy, Odette Brooke, PJ Planet Druid, Rachel Peterson, Sandra Cornelius, Sherry Kumar, Sophia Rian, Stephanie H2O, Tessa Martins, Tia B, TJWO, Trista Bailey, Tristan Thomas, Wendy Rossman, Zenia Green, Youth of the Volmut, Zaira Rivera, Zordarama, and Zlokov Niponi. A big thank you to my $3 patrons, Angelina Farnan, Kilone Constance, Daryl De Rosario, Eden C, Jessica Petron, Catherine Parsons, Kens Brown, Elle Lindberg, Lindsay Ann, Mary H, Monica Wykers, Nella, Sykes Zera, Renee Church, Ringlov Tang, Watanas Riakul, and Wendy Foreman. And a thank you to my $1 patrons, 1 anonymous patron, Alice Borrelin, Brandon Pacheco, Christina Greengrass, Colleen Coyle Levi, Couture Helvetica, Emilia Bronson, Jamie Arsenath, Jolie Sullivan, Kayla Vavra, Kelly Ash, Chris Perez, Lauren M, Lorianne Subramaniam, Luzman Fernandez, Neely Spicer, Nerdy Kathy, Olivia Chin Mueller, Rebecca C, Sarah, and Tracy the Eyebuilder.